Okay, so greatest gift, day 10. Today I'm in Oxford with my girlfriend Nia, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about faith. So faith is a really key part, again, of our lives as Christians. So yesterday we were talking all about the Bible, which is obviously really important because that's where we get all of our information about what God was like, about what people have been like in the past. And faith is kind of the perspective that we live our lives by as Christians. Okay, so Nia, what would you say faith is?
So I'd say faith is knowing something's there even when you can't necessarily see it. And I say it's a bit like an advent calendar where there's chocolate behind every little door and every little window, but you can't see it, and you can only see it once you break through the foil, and then you can get the chocolate.
That's cool. So in the same way that with these chocolate advent calendars that hopefully a lot of you guys have for the next couple of weeks, every day you just know that when you open the little door there's going to be a little chocolate behind it in the shape of a snowflake or something, whatever it is. You know there's something there even though you can't see it, and that's a really helpful picture for how we as Christians should almost live out our lives and our walks with God. So even though, I don't know, we might be going through a situation and we can't necessarily see the outcome, see the breakthrough, see the light at the end of the tunnel, but it's all about having faith because of God's promises. So with this advent calendar, it's kind of promised that there'll be chocolate behind each door. That's kind of the point. And with God has promised certain things which, if you read the Bible, throughout the whole Bible, there's all these promises that God has made to his people, and that includes us. And if we have faith and put our trust in these promises, then we know that even if we can't yet see the outcome and the light at the end, God will still come through for us.
Okay, so faith can be really easy sometimes if everything's going okay in your life, and actually you almost have no reason not to have faith because everything is going okay and everything is on track. But sometimes when things do go wrong, actually it can be really hard to even imagine that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and that there is goodness to come out of it.
So I think that one of the harder parts of being kind of a Christian and maintaining faith is exactly what Nia's saying. So when life is just not going the way that we expect it to and it's not going well, how can we keep on trusting these things that we all learn, God is good, God is loving, God is looking out for us? How can we keep on trusting that even when our situation doesn't kind of reflect the same things that we'd expect to happen? And Chris, yesterday in the video about the Bible, Chris kind of mentioned how in the Bible, sometimes for him it's really helpful just to have verses that you can keep on going back to, and it's these verses which are promises from God that he can almost use to feed his faith and be like, okay, even though this situation doesn't look good, doesn't look promising, I have faith and trust in God, and God is promising. He's made these promises, and I'm going to put them above what I can see at the moment. And a really big part of promises is that a lot of the time it's about something that will come. So God doesn't say that as Christians life will always be easy at all, but he does say that he will work all things together for the good of those who love him, and he will be faithful, and he will build us up, and he will encourage us, and he will grow us, and he will strengthen us, and he will eventually bring us into his eternal glory and light. So Jesus, as a model, as an example, went through so much difficult stuff in his life. He was whipped, he was beaten, he was crucified and killed on a cross, but all of that was for a greater purpose, which was then so that we could have life and so that we could have a relationship. And I think that's something that we can't see so much with our perspective. We forget to see that there's more going on than just the struggles that we're going through at the moment. Okay, so a really helpful way that I find to look at this whole faith thing and how it applies is by comparing it with a boat in the middle of a storm at sea, and the anchor of the boat is like our faith. And so when the boat's in the storms, it's bouncing up and down, it's really dangerous, but it puts down its anchor. It stays rooted, it stays fastened to the rock at the bottom of the sea, and so it's still and it's going to be okay, but it doesn't take it out of the storms. And so for us with our faith, you could compare it and be okay, when really bad stuff's going on, as everybody goes through, when really bad stuff's going on, having faith doesn't always get rid of the bad stuff straight away, but it allows you to be rooted and attached to the rock, even whilst all of that is going on, and that makes you okay in the situation, even though you're still in the situation. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so one way this has been really relevant in my life over recent years is I actually had a really bad relationship with my dad, and he wasn't living with us. And one day he came over to collect some stuff, and I gave him a photograph of him holding me as a baby. And on the back of this photograph I wrote, "In case you ever forget me," and put it in an envelope, and I gave it to him just before he left. I never spoke to him about this photo or anything, and I kind of forgotten about it. And then about 2 months ago, so this is like 6 years later, I just had this picture from God of like him like replacing my dad's place in this photograph and just like holding me, and he just said like, "I will never forget you." And I just think it links so like closely with this, the fact that like in this like messy time, in this like hard times that I'm going through and that many of you might be going through, that like he just holds us still, like the anchor in our life. He just holds us grounded. He doesn't let us sway away. Like we look out across this like messy, stormy ocean and see it all going wrong, but we never look down to see like, actually I'm still here because like God is like holding me down. It's my anchor. And I think it's just really encouraging because like just like the Advent calendar, where we can't see behind the doors but we know it's there, sometimes we don't look down to see that actually we're still standing and we're still strong because we have faith in Jesus. Okay, so hopefully that made a little bit of sense and you understand more about what faith is. So see you tomorrow for day 11. But stay tuned for, did you say stay tuned?
We can say stay tuned. Stay tuned.